So we've got another first home buyer scheme coming to effect this Friday. That's the federal government Help to Buy scheme. And this is a scheme designed at helping lower income households get into the market. So how does it work? Firstly, from an eligibility point of view, one of the main hurdles is going to be income. So it only applies to singles making less than $100,000 a year or couples making less than $160,000 a year. It's for first home buyers only, and there are price caps that vary across the major cities. But as an idea, Melbourne's 950,000, Brisbane's $1 million, and Sydney is 1.3 million. Now, the key difference between this scheme and, for example, the first home guarantee scheme is this is a shared equity scheme. So the downside of this is if you buy $1 million property and the government takes their ownership share, which is up to 30% in an existing property, up to 40% in a brand new property. So let's say you buy an existing property for $1 million, you take the maximum shared equity, the government now owns 30% of your home, and when you sell your property down the track, they will take 30% of the sales price as well. It's very fair, but it means that you do have the government co-owning your home, and for a lot of people, that's not ideal. The positive to it though, is that when you buy $1 million house on the first home guarantee scheme, you borrow 95%, you've got a $950,000 mortgage, which means A, you need to demonstrate the ability to repay that mortgage, and B, you actually have to repay that mortgage. When you do it on the Help to Buy scheme, you buy $1 million property, the government takes 30% equity, there's no repayments and no interest on their share, which means the remaining portion is $700,000. You can borrow up to 98% of that $700,000, which means your loan's about $685,000, give or take. And so the difference between this scheme and the first home guarantee scheme, same $1 million property, same maxing everything out, same first home buyers. First home guarantee scheme, you've got a $950,000 mortgage, you need to evidence the income to support this. Help to Buy scheme, you've got a $685,000 mortgage and you need to evidence the income to afford this. So this allows people to get into properties that perhaps they couldn't afford otherwise, and allows people who couldn't afford properties to get into the market. So I think it overall is quite a positive thing. I think that for those who have the opportunity, I'd probably lean towards the first home guarantee scheme or other programs as well, because I personally prefer to have ownership of the property myself and also ownership of the upside. But for those who don't have access to that, I think it's a fantastic way to get to the market. At the moment, only CBA and Bank Australia are doing this. It's only eligible to first home buyers and it starts on December 5th. If you've got any questions, shoot me a message.